AfterBuzz TV, starting place to the likes of WWE female superstars Cathy, Kelley, Sonya, Deville, and Zelina Vega proudly presents Women's Wrestling Weekly, the world's first podcast and YouTube series dedicated exclusively to women's wrestling, featuring all the latest news as well as interviews with top superstars in the industry. And now, AfterBuzz TV's own gorgeous lady of wrestling, TK Trinidad.
Bonjour, you're watching Women's Wrestling Weekly, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad, aka the Canadian Assassin, and I am not alone. She hails from the valleys of California. She is a farmer's daughter, maybe. We'll have to find out. Please welcome Emily May.
Hi, everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
I mean, the smiling is just...
I know, TK can't handle it.
I know, it's just too much sometimes, just joking. We have Star of the Week, and we have a special guest. We have special guests every week, and this is what makes the show amazing. And this week is no exception. You can see her on Rise and Shimmer. Please welcome Kikyo.
Hello.
Hey. I said it right?
Yes, you did.
It looks, it's visually looks simple.
Yeah.
But then your mind starts playing tricks on you, and you're like, wait, am I? So I'm glad I said.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you so much for hopping on the show. So tell us a little bit of how you got into wrestling.
Well, honestly, I've been watching it since before I was born. My mom was pregnant going to wrestling shows. She got sick while she was pregnant with me and couldn't go to see Hulk Hogan and cried. So, yeah, it's been part of my life literally since I could remember. I got bullied in school constantly because of it, and being a tomboy on top of that was never, anything to shake a stick at. So, yeah, it's just... I've always told people since the beginning, I want to be a pro wrestler. It wasn't, I want to be a princess or a doctor or a veterinary. No, I want to be a pro wrestler. And
then how did you make that happen?
Yeah.
I was sitting at home. I was about a year out of high school. I was 19 years old. And I had thought to myself, I'm not doing anything. I literally have no job. I'm on unemployment. And I've told everybody all my life I'm going to be a pro wrestler. So I Googled wrestling schools in California, and I came across North American Wrestling in Fresno, California, which is now defunct. But I started training there originally, and then I went with Pro Wrestling Bushido after they closed down. Pro Wrestling Bushido's now, I think they run every now and then, but they don't really run too much anymore. Got hooked up with Supreme Pro Wrestling under Virgil Flynn III, the late Virgil Flynn. And it's been a hell of a journey, that's for sure. Definitely gone through some more downs than ups, but the ups that I've had have been absolutely amazing.
Well, it says that you debuted in 2009. Correct? So that's been quite the run. So how has wrestling changed from then to now?
I don't know if it was the same for you, TK, when you were coming up, but I almost got my butt beat because someone thought that I was wearing someone else's colors.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Wow. That was a big thing. Like somebody thought I was wearing pink and black, and someone else's colors was pink and black, and they yelled at my trainer, "Hey, some B's got some, your girl's colors on. You better go check her out." My trainer comes barreling down the hallway, about to whoop the crap out of me. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Everyone's telling me, oh, dude, you're in for it. He looks and sees who it is, sees what's on my gear. And he turns around and tells his friend, he's like, dude, she's fine. She's not even wearing anything like that. You're good. So I'm like, oh, thanks. I'm alive. Cool. And this is nearly a year into the business.
Wow. So a year into the business, how, and you're trying to create your own persona and your own brand as a wrestler. How did you try to create that, and what made you make yourself stand out?
At first it was really difficult because I got retrained a couple of times because of the area that I was at. Wasn't the best necessarily, but if you have the passion and you have the drive to do it, you're going to have more than just one trainer. And I was doing a character very similar to what Su Yung has been doing with the Undead Bride. I was painting my face geisha style. And then that started to get off the ground a little bit, which was really awesome until some legal stuff happened between my trainer and I because we had a falling out. and I got a cease and desist order for the character I was doing. And that was in 2014. I had already been doing it for, let's see, I took about a year and a half off between 2010 and 2011 for mental health. But I came back February 2012. So I had done that gimmick from February 2012 until February of 2014. And I was like, I was just getting in the swing of things, just getting bookings and really getting out there. And then poof, at a show served by my ex-boyfriend. Oh, and then I had to wrestle my trainer's girlfriend later that night.
Wait, this got very, very, very complicated in less than 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you had an amazing gimmick. Your trainer sent you a cease and desist. So was your trainer your ex-boyfriend?
Nope. It was his best friend that was my ex-boyfriend.
Okay. Oh. And then you had to wrestle...
I had to wrestle my trainer's girlfriend alongside the girl I was originally supposed to wrestle on that show, so that way they could get rid of my character and do like a loser leaves town kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't connect it. Oof.
Yeah, I had about 3 weeks to get ready and figure something out because there was no way in hell I was going to pull out of a one-on-one with Candice LeRae.
Wow. Okay. So you have you mentioned that there are a lot more downs than ups. What has kind of driven you to stay in the business then?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to start crying now. Virgil Flynn III. If anybody has never heard of him, you need to look him up. His last set of bookings was with Global Force Wrestling. He wrestled Kushida one-on-one. Had an amazing show out. I believe there was a 4-way match with him and PJ Black, somewhere along those lines as well. And after the cease and desist happened, of course I was like, I'm devastated. I don't know what to do. Like, This is something I've wanted my entire life. And I really thought about just giving it up. And Virgil sat me down and he's like, we're going to get through this together. It doesn't matter who says what. If this is what you want to do, this is what you want to do, and you're going to do it. And nobody can tell you otherwise. And just going through the depression phases of trying to figure everything out, Virgil finally said, he's like, you know what? How about this? I'll make you a deal. If you really, really want to quit and you don't want to come back, you're going to let me kick you in the head. Then you can leave. So I want you to promise me right now, if you want to leave, you let me kick you in the head and then you can leave. Nobody wants to get kicked in the head.
No. Not at all. Yeah.
So whenever I'd have like those little bouts of, bad depression, and I'd hit him up and be like, hey, Virgil, I don't know if I can do this anymore. He's like, you want me to kick you in the head? No, Virgil, I don't want you to kick me in the head. It's like, all right, then suck it up and get going.
Wow. There's a lot to unpack.
It's so hard. Like, those negative voices can be so strong.
Yeah. You talked about mental health, which has been, I don't want to minimize it by saying this, but it's been kind of like a hot topic as of late in the last 2 years. People have been talking about it, and we had Allie on the show, I believe last year, who also talked about it before it became like the thing, if that makes any sense, and not to belittle it. How do you, cope with that, and do you talk to other wrestlers about that as well, as far as encouraging other wrestlers to how do you get through it?
When someone lets me know, please tell me, because I'm still going through it. I just recently actually started coming back from an ACL tear. I was fortunate enough to be brought to Japan for Stardom with Rise. It was myself, Angel Dust, Britt Baker, Kylie Ray, and what was supposed to be Shotzi Blackheart and Delilah Doom. Delilah breaks her ankle 2 weeks prior. Wow. Shotzi breaks her ankle a week prior. I tear my knee the 3rd day before the show even starts.
Oh my gosh.
Kylie breaks her collarbone that weekend.
Oh.
Gosh. Okay.
It was a nightmare. I don't know how Dust and Britt made it out alive and unscathed, but they were the only two that did. I was supposed to be on that tour with Dust for that 2 months, but I tore my knee before the first show. And then Virgil passed away 5 days later.
Oh goodness.
So how were you able to get out of that horrible moment in your career and in life?
How do you stay grounded?
Yeah.
In that, because and you can speak more to this, but when you hit that dark place, it's almost like you have a choice. You can either go darker, or you can, stay in it or try to pull yourself out of it. So what's the thought process with that?
I have an amazing boyfriend. He has dealt with so much with me over the last year, with Virgil passing away, with my knee injury, having surgery, and not being able to get up and do things myself. Like I was on bed rest for 3 straight days, couldn't go anywhere except to go to the bathroom. And he waited on me, still does wait on me hand and foot, even though I was cleared in August. Being able to talk to all of my home, friends at home about Virgil passing, and reminiscing about the good times that we had, because he was one of those people that if you had a bad thing to say about Virgil, you're more than likely a piece of crap, because it's a very, very rare thing to have a bad thing to say about him. And it's hard when, you have your mind telling you all of these things that they're not right. They're not true, but you still believe them because it's something that you've been told for years and years, over and over and over again. Like for me, coming up in training, you're not good enough. You're too fat. You have a shitty attitude. Sorry, excuse my French.
No, you're good.
It's a constant, like it's something that you've wanted to do for so long, and then to be told that you're not good enough, or you can't because you're a girl, or you can't because you're this size, or you don't look good on a poster. That's my favorite one. You don't look good on a poster.
And like then how do you combat that, especially with social media and all that stuff? The beautiful thing, specifically about women's wrestling at this very moment, is that there's so many promotions, and we're seeing more women of different shapes, different sizes, different colors versus 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So how do you combat something like that when somebody tells you that?
I go to the people who were above me that did it before I did. With Rise has opened up so many doors for people, for not only just women, because now they're all inclusive. It's LGBT friendly. Everybody and anybody is completely and utterly welcome to come and do these seminars. And most people don't really think about going to a female's seminar. I've learned more from Soraya Knight in those 3 or 4 seminars that I've done with her than I have in years of being with certain people, or just a couple of hours with Dr. Tom Pritchard. Is insane. And you get this knowledge from people who have seen everybody come and go and are still here and still kicking. So if if I've got somebody telling me, oh, well, you're too fat, you're too this or whatever, I call up all my moms. I'm like, hey, Havoc, hey, Lufisto, what did you do when this kind of situation happened? Or if I'm really, really reaching out, I'll check what time it is in England, be like, hey, Mom, Soraya, I need you. What can I do? And being able to actually have those connections and reach out to those people because of the opportunities that I've been able to get it's irreplaceable.
Yep. Now, badass, you have named quite a few names.
Sorry, let me pick those up really quick.
I know, right?
I was like,
quite a few names on speed dial. 2-part question. Who would you like to have a match with again? Okay. And then who would you love to have a match with that you haven't had a match with before?
You're asking the tough questions. I definitely want to wrestle Havoc again. She was my Shimmer debut at Shimmer 94. And it was like a 5 to 6 minute match. And I want to go to town with her. Either that or tag with her, because we would murder everyone. It would be amazing.
I believe it.
I definitely would like to wrestle Lufisto one-on-one, because she have only had a triple threat match, and she is more than likely retiring after this year because of her knees and stuff. And she's actually the one who pushed me to go and get surgery. She was like, don't end up like me. Don't be like me. Go get surgery. Go get healthy, so that way you can continue to do this.
What's some advice that you could give some wrestlers that want to get into the business? You've been in it for 10 years now. You've had your ups and downs. What's some advice for someone maybe struggling, either having a bad day?
First of all, be a sponge. don't be me and get nicknamed La Boca because you ask too many questions or talk too much. Which for anybody who doesn't speak Spanish, La Boca means the mouth. Yeah, shut up, be a sponge, ears open the whole time. If you really have a problem, like, find somebody. You should really honestly be able to trust your trainers with anything. You have your life in their hands and vice versa. Wrestling is not an easy thing, especially being female. If you have anybody that you can talk to, or you feel like you're close with somebody, reach out to them. I have a couple of girls, one being the great Bambina, who's an up-and-comer from the Bay Area of California. Being a transgendered woman on top of being a women's wrestler is a whole nother situation now for the girls. Right. And she's been, coming to me and like, hey, how do I go about doing this or that? Because she's a bigger girl on top of everything else. So and having that support system is so important. So important. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask someone, hey, can I talk to you about something? Hey, can I vent? Or one thing that Bambina has been really good about, if I vent to her, she's like, okay, would you like me to support you, or do you want advice? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to vent, or do you want me to actually help you out with the situation? And it gives you that option of like, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't something that I need to really be that upset about. Like, do I need support on this? Do I need advice for what's going on? Or do I just need to, essentially bitch and cry?
And what's the goal for you've stuck it through, despite the downs and ups? What are the goals for your career? Is there a Japan tour along the way soon?
I am praying to whatever is out there that I am allowed to come back to Japan and actually show what I can do. Because I tore my knee on the third day. I didn't even actually get to wrestle. We were going over everything before the show happened, and there it goes. It just went, and I didn't even get to wrestle at all. So I would absolutely love to go back to Japan. It's gorgeous. The girls were amazing, and I'm a freaking weeaboo anyways, and I loved it. I would love to go up to Canada and wrestle, which I think is happening sometime next year. So that's another one off my list. But I just want to pay my bills doing what I love. If I get signed, cool. That's awesome. That's a contract. It's money in my pocket, and I get to do what I love. And my check says, whatever E on it, or T, E, freaking A, whatever you want to have on there now. But yeah, that's always been my goal, is to pay my bills doing what I love.
Is there any promotion? Because now when you look at the promotions, we'll talk about like the big three, I guess. Yeah. Impact, AEW, and WWE. Each promotion is very different in characteristics, politics, how they, their storylines. Yeah. Is there anyone in particular that you would love to go to? Like, if you can wave a magic wand, it's like, this is it.
It's crazy because I have friends in all three companies. Like, it. Like when I first started, it was WWE or nothing. Because that's pretty much everybody's goal. And then getting a little more into the wrestling thing, you started noticing, like, especially around 2012, 2013, the knockouts of TNA were really hitting hard. And it was like, okay, now I want to go to TNA because they let their girls wrestle. That's amazing. And now, with Tessa breaking the gender wall over at TNA, with fighting Sami Callihan and having intergender matches. And to be honest, I came back in August and I've had less than 30 matches. I've only wrestled 3 women in that entire time. Everything else has been intergender wrestling, and I'm totally okay with that, because we went through the same stuff they did, if not worse, just because we're women. We have to hit twice as hard. So if TNA is the option, then that's where, if that's who hits me up, that's cool too. AEW has an amazing thing going on. I hear they have insurance. Who has insurance for the wrestlers? Nobody. Like, I would like some insurance. I dislocated my elbow. I tore my knee. Kind of need insurance when you're a wrestler.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean, whatever comes up, and if all 3 of them show up at my door, then it's always going to be a money issue. So it's just, depends on what's going on in my life at the time, and I welcome any and all contracts.
And now your name, is that your name, or is this a name that you came up with, or how, which one?
I took my name from an anime called Inuyasha. Uh-huh. There is a character called Kikyo. She is a sacred priestess who was killed and came back to life to get revenge on Inuyasha. Which is kind of funny because when I came up with the name Kikyo, I was like, all right, well, they say that your character is supposed to be you turned up to 11. Mm-hmm. I'm normally a pretty nice person, so I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be a bad guy, how am I going to do this? So I start looking at all of my favorite things. I looked at my favorite anime, and I started going through each character, and I'm like, Kagome is really, really, really babyface. She's the big main character, and the name just doesn't flow with me. Then I thought about Sango, who had this really great backstory with her brother and fighting Naraku and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. I stuck with that one for like maybe 30 minutes to an hour. And I was like, Sango. Still a little too nice. Mm-hmm. Then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, well, Kikyo's got a messed up backstory. She wanted revenge. I want revenge on everything that was taken away from me. And it just fell right into place. That's where the fallen flower came from.
Yeah. Nice. So how do you like playing a heel?
Oh, I love it. It's my favorite thing. I've been doing it for so long, I almost don't know what else to do. So when I come to a company like 321 Battle, for instance, the crowd loves me. And it's weird to get cheered and chanted for in a good way.
Yeah.
And so you have to like slightly change your style a little bit, because it's like, oh, okay, well, I can't like take my knee brace and rake it against somebody's face because I'm going to get booed if I do. Well, actually, no, I did that to B-Boy a couple weeks ago and I got cheered for it. So I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore, man. I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's how I feel.
It's like a love to hate thing. We're going to hit rapid hot tags real quick.
Women's Wrestling Rapid Hot Tags.
So I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to say the first thing that comes to your mind. Always early or always late?
Early.
Last person you text?
My boyfriend.
If you could listen to one album for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Linkin Park, Meteora.
Nice. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
The ability to fly.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
Late owl or early riser?
Late owl.
If you were on death row, what would be your last meal?
Ooh. I don't even know. Probably a steak. Definitely.
Okay. And last show you binge watched?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I binge watched so many now. Probably the Greatest Baking Show.
Oh, okay. I love that one.
There
Right?
you have it.
I want to make all the food.
Thank you so much for coming on.
I just want a handshake.
Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you?
You can find me literally everything. My IG, Snap, Twitter, all of it is at Fallen Kikyo. FALLENKIKYO. I will be starting a Patreon soon, so please sign up for that. That'd be great, because new gear is expensive.
Yes. And then you also have a shirt with Pro Wrestling Tees, correct?
I do. It is prowrestlingtees.com/ guess what? Fallen Kikyo.
But it's always easier when you make it simple for
It's
folks.
easy. Just keep it the same.
And then we did talk a lot about mental health. Is there a place that you referred people to, or a 1-800 number, or a website, or what would be your suggestion if people are dealing with mental illness?
Honestly, a good Google in your area is great. I know Facebook shares a lot of numbers around. I particularly haven't participated in calling any of those hotlines or anything like that. But if you have somebody that you trust or you can talk to about things, do it. Like it's not going to hurt to vent. Like try and find even a psychologist or a club meeting or something like AA, but for mental health. Mm-hmm. Just talking about things sometimes, honestly, it really, really helps just to get it off of your chest.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it. Like I said, the Instagram, we saw your makeup's on point. Mm-hmm. It looks on point here. We love it. Anytime you're in Southern California, you are more than welcome to come in the studio and let us know when you have a match in the area. But yeah, and tag us on everything.
I do, actually. December 6th, I will be coming back to Crimson Crown Wrestling, It's at the American Legion Hall or American Legion Post 338, where AWS used to run.
Okay.
And it's me versus Matt Tremont for the Supreme Violence Championship.
Oh, there you have it.
Wow.
So make sure you tag us. This is the thing. Like, you know, we're promoting women's wrestling and wrestling in general. It's a great time to be a wrestler. It's a great time. I'm not a wrestler, but it's a great time for wrestling in general. It's like I'm there.
We're gonna get you in the ring.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a wrestler in general, and just tag us on all this stuff. And if you want to come in and promote, you are more than welcome to.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Thank you so
much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to hit that star of the week real quick.
Yeah. So, born in 1971 in Japan, Sumi Sakai is our star of the week. Not only an incredible wrestler and mixed martial artist, but she's been in the wrestling industry over 20 years in Japan and throughout the United States and the world. She's appeared regularly on Ring of Honor, in their Women of Honor division. She's had a slew of championships and accomplishments with Japan's Women Pro Wrestling, American Wrestling Federation. She's a two-time women's champion. JD Star Championship, again, Ring of Honor, Women of Honor World Championship. She recently had her match in the Ring of Honor division for the Women of Honor Championship, triple threat match. She has incredible athleticism. She has this mix of martial arts style with wrestling. She's continuously paving the way for new female wrestlers, not only in Japan, but the United States. And I'm excited to see what happens with Stardom, which is the new women's promotion that Bushi Road, which New Japan Pro Wrestling owns, has acquired and is partnering with. So it's going to be exciting to see where she goes with that and how she's going to help build these wrestlers to be the next, to rule the ring.
Yeah, she's definitely a staple in wrestling. Not even just women's wrestling, definitely a staple in wrestling that you should know. She's been around for a minute. Her matches with Ring of Honor
are incredible. If you can, just go back, watch it.
Yeah, definitely. Like go on a wrestling binge and just watch.
Just like make your playlist, all her videos.
There you go. Thank you so much for hopping on. Thank you for co-hosting. Where can people find you?
Yes, so you can find me all over social media at Emily May Heller. That's MAE.
And if you're watching us on social media, on YouTube, all that good stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to us on iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff, make sure to give us 5 stars. We will not accept anything less than that. Without you guys, we wouldn't be the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. This is fact. Look it up. Other than that, make sure you follow us on social media, WPW Weekly, and you can follow me on everything at TK Trinidad. Till next week, guys. Ciao.
From executive producer Kevin Undergaro, producer TK Trinidad, and me, Maria Menounos, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Women's Wrestling Weekly. To help TK, the crew, and women's wrestling in general, we ask that you subscribe, rate, and comment on Women's Wrestling Weekly at Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our AfterBuzz TV wrestling channel on YouTube for this and other outstanding wrestling content. Buzz you later.